When I got there, he was beating the prisoner with his club. I got a little carried away. Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the channel where we got a very cool and original story here for this fanfiction today. It is called Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Infinite Ikea, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Greg here somehow gets trapped inside of an Ikea that is infinite. Sort of like a backroom situation, where it's just a huge, massive area that looks familiar, and he's lost. He can't get out of there, and he's gonna have a whole lot of problems. I don't want to give away too much, but this is definitely a very cool story. Now, if you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with the bell on for notifications, because you do not want to miss any of these new fanfictions coming out. Now let's hop into Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Infinite Ikea. Saturday. Today, Dad needed a new drawer to replace the one Roger ruined during his last band concert. Dad said that we needed to go to Ikea because I could learn a thing or two about putting something together. Don't ask me why we need to go all the way to Ikea when we could just get one from the store. Anyways, once we got to the store, Dad said that he really needed to go to the bathroom. Dad told me to wait by the drawers, so I made my way over without him. I never knew how big an Ikea actually was until I was inside this one. It seemed to have gone on forever until I found the drawers. I noticed something was wrong when after 30 minutes Dad hadn't found me at the drawers yet. Now that I think about it, I have not seen anyone since we first got here. I decided to try to go back to the bathrooms to find Dad, except it seemed to loop no matter how much I walked. It had been hours of me walking around the Ikea. I was completely lost. I thought for sure this was a season finale of the TV show of my life, but at the same time I'm not sure how they were able to make a television set for me seem so infinite. I realized I was getting hungry until I had a bigger problem. All the lights went out suddenly, and I could barely see anything in front of me. Luckily, I was walking near the bedding display of the Ikea, so I decided to try to get some sleep. Someone had to find me in the morning. The store is now closed. Oh God. Help! I woke up after I think was an hour of sleep to someone screaming nearby. I heard a woman screaming for help while someone very quietly was telling her to leave the store. After about 30 seconds I heard nothing but footsteps walking away. After that I got no sleep. I just wish I didn't walk over to where I heard the screams when the lights came back on. I will remember what I saw for the rest of my life. I started walking towards where I heard the screams the night before. As I made my way over, I spotted a person. I got the first feeling of pure joy I had since I first entered this place, until the person turned around. It wasn't a person at all. It was a tall, faceless thing, with long arms wearing the Ikea employee uniform. The thing just stood there for a good 5 seconds looking at me before I ran. I wasn't sure if the thing was evil or not, but I sure was not about to find out. After I got away from that thing, I decided I needed to find food or Dad. I really hope Dad is okay, if he even is here. For all I know, when Dad went to the bathroom, he could have went into an infinite public bathroom filled with the grout. After some more walking, I ended up finding an Ikea restaurant. This was almost too good to be true. I went closer to the restaurant only to find more of those freaks there. Those things just looked at me and didn't move. I was so hungry that I decided to get closer and see if they'd attack me, but they just stood there. I noticed there was food on one of the tables, so I decided to help myself to some. I don't know if those things could cook, but the food was pretty good. It was creepy eating my lunch with those things watching me. After I finished eating, I decided I should leave before I find out if the thing and his friend want to serve me for the next meal. As I was leaving, I saw something moving near some drawers in the distance. I decided I should run over and check it out. I ended up finding actual people. I wasn't alone in here. There were 3 other people. One was a police officer named George, another was a kid my age, and lastly was an old man named Charlie. Officer George told me to come with them because they had a community filled with other people. Except we needed to hurry, because the lights were about to go out soon. George explained that when the lights go out, those things attack people, which would describe what I heard last night. I asked George why they were out in the first place, and they said their group is the law in the Ikea, and there was a feud between 2 other groups. But as he said that, the lights went out. There were the things around us when they went out, and Charlie got surrounded. The store's now closed. Help me! I'm so sorry, Charlie. We all got away except for Charlie. There wasn't anything we could do to help him. At least he lived a long life. I only hope I can say the same. We ended up making it to a place George called Textiles. I guess it's called that because of the sign for textiles above their base. If you ask me, the name is pretty lame, but it could be worse. Textiles had walls all around it from the furniture, and it even had power to make the night more bearable. George told me I need to try to get some sleep, and he would explain more in the morning. Day 3. When I got up today, George was waiting for me. George told me that he and some others fortified this place a few months ago. He then introduced me to the other unlucky people here. I was hoping to see Dad here, but I didn't recognize anyone else. George told me his group is the law of this Ikea, and that it's our job to try to settle disputes between other communities. He told me that Charlie was his last deputy, and that he would like me to try and fill his spot in the group. George said everyone in the community needs to do their own part for our very own survival. Some people go out to those restaurants to gather food. We don't know how the food gets there, but it appears every few days. Other people know how to craft weapons to use against other groups and those monsters. The people here call those things the staff because they are dressed like the employees. Some others are tasked with maintaining the walls around textiles. The worst job is the few who have to clean up the bodies of the staff. According to Alan, they take the bodies away on trolleys far away because the bodies bring in more staff. Every few nights, the staff attacks textiles, so we need to clean away their bodies. Lastly, there are the deputies. The deputies are there to make sure textiles is safe and to go with George to other communities to solve disputes. Deputies get the most respect around here, so when George offered me the job, I took it. The ladies of textiles didn't seem too impressed at first, but I'm sure they'll come around. Anyways, George says tomorrow he needs me as a backup for when he goes to checkouts, which is the name of another town, because there's talk of bandits. What I'm wondering is, where is Frank? I mean, he left Greg to go to the bathroom, it looks like in the story, days ago. So I'm hoping that maybe he got in one of these groups, or he just got out. Because I don't see Frank surviving against these staff people. I don't think he has it in him. Day 4. Today, George and I made our way over towards checkouts. George told me to keep my eyes peeled for anything out of the usual as we got close. That was bad advice, because there's nothing normal about this place. Anyways, as we got closer to the town, George spotted 2 prisoners sneaking around. This is D-class turf. Hold it right there. I had no idea how prisoners got into this Ikea, or what D-class meant, but I did know that they looked like they meant business. George suspected them of being the bandits and started yelling at them to drop their weapons. One of the goons took a step closer to us and said that this was our last warning to leave. I thought this was a really bad idea and that we should leave, so I tried to motion to George to leave. But that's when he pulled his nightstick out and said, "Bring it on." I don't know what came over me, but as George charged the prisoner with the knife, I ran at the one with the bow. The prisoner shot an arrow at me. Luckily he missed. The arrow ended up hitting a staff member behind me who went crazy and sprinted past me at the prisoner. I thought I was going to have to fight, but the staff took care of the prisoner for me. I guess a life of crime doesn't pay after all. Oh God, please! After the staff member dealt with the archer, I ran back to help George out. When I got there, he was beating the prisoner with his club. I got a little carried away. We ended up checking his pulse, except he didn't have one. George said we needed to stop wasting time, so we left his corpse and continued heading to checkouts. When we arrived at checkouts, there wasn't much left. It looked like most of the barricades the town had were destroyed. George said we needed to scout the area to find any survivors. I looked all around and couldn't find anyone alive. Some people were torn apart, while others had arrows in them. It seems like staff and people attacked this place before we arrived. George seemed upset, but said that there wasn't anything we could do except fortify this place for the night. I don't think I will be getting any sleep, not with the smell of bodies everywhere. We started moving everything we could find to make a temporary base. Checkouts looked like it was pretty nice before they were attacked. The place even had an emergency phone. I went over to see if I could call for help, but it was useless. Bell, zebra, tickle. Quit messing around, we don't have much time. We ended up securing an area for the night, made mostly of shelves. I decided to ask George how he got here because he's a cop. He explained that he was called to Ikea 6 months ago because someone was shoplifting. George lost his partner after 2 days of being in here. George said they were ambushed while they were sleeping. Now that doesn't make me feel safe when he's keeping watch tonight. Day 5. We ended up surviving the night and making it all the way back to textiles in the morning. People were super excited to hear from George about our trip, but not me. Sheriff? According to Eric, while George and I were away, someone snuck into textiles. Eric said the mystery man got away, but nothing was stolen from our supplies. I don't know why someone would do that, but it seems like we need to be more aware in the future. Who knows what could have happened if no one saw him? Day 6. Last night was horrible. Every night there are usually a few of the staff who try to get into textiles, but last night was the most we've ever seen. There was a staff horde trying to break into one of our weak points. The store is now closed. Please leave. We were able to hold them off, but they just kept coming. The first wave broke in. Luckily, we managed to kill them, but a second wave showed up. The second wave of the staff was bigger than the first. We took a few losses that wave. Please leave. When the attacks were over, we had to clean up the bodies. There must have been about 60 staff. It just came out of nowhere, and we don't have much time. I don't know how we are going to clean up the bodies and fix the walls. I better get to work. Day 7. Last night was even worse than the one before. We cleaned up all the staff bodies and textiles, but another huge group attacked. We lost many people, and I don't think we can rebuild textiles after last night. I got lucky. We don't know if the staff are getting more organized, but George has called a meeting for us all. We've all decided to pack up and try to seek refuge with another community. I was looking for things to take with us when I found what caused the attacks. It was the hand of a staff in a drawer. This was the same area Eric spotted the intruder. The intruder must have put it here to attract staff to kill us. I don't see why someone would do that to us, but it doesn't matter. We need to go soon. We were on our way to a community called Showrooms, but we must have left textiles too late. On our way, the lights went out and we all panicked. There was a few staff nearby, so everyone ran in opposite directions. I ran for what seemed like hours when I stopped. George followed me and told me we needed to stay calm, but the staff followed us. I was about to keep running when I saw the doors. They were not there before, they just appeared in front of me. I could see through them, and it was the outside of this nightmare. I wasn't going to take the chance and forget where it was, so I went through it, leaving George. Greg? Greg? Get on the ground, right now. The soldier blindfolded me and searched me. When he found my journal, he said that I had a nice diary. I explained to him it was a journal, but he didn't listen to me. After what seemed like hours of driving in silence, we stopped, and the soldier took me out and brought me inside somewhere. I got my blindfold taken off and saw I was in a small room with an old man. I guess he was actually a scientist and told me we had to talk about my experience in Ikea. His name was Dr. and he made me tell my whole story probably 100 times. When I wasn't telling my story, I was sitting in a small room alone with nothing to do. It took me a lot of begging for them to just give me back my journal, but they said I can write only a few more pages. The scientists also said that I couldn't keep my journal when they let me go. On the bright side, they said they would give me something to forget this whole experience. I just don't know how they will explain this to my family, but I'm sure they'll think of something to tell them. And there we have it. That is the end of Infinite Ikea. That was definitely an interesting one. And let me tell you right now, this was a very hard story to find. For some reason, the whole thing kind of got deleted off of Reddit. And the guy who made it, I had trouble finding his account, which I'm pretty sure he deleted his account and the story as well. So I'm not too sure if this is the end of the story. I mean, it seems like it would be a good ending. Like maybe you use your imagination to kind of fill in the blanks. For example, when they say that they were going to give him something to forget this whole experience, first thing that I thought of was they were just gonna kill him. Like the Ikea was some secret experiment or like a social experiment or some bullshit like that. And after he escaped through those doors, which he wasn't supposed to do, they can't let him leave after he experienced that. Like, what are they gonna do when he tells everyone else, right? So I'm assuming that they just killed him, and that's what they were gonna give him to forget this whole experience happened. Definitely a really cool and original story. I've never really heard anything about an Infinite Ikea till this one. But if anyone wants to pick this up and continue it, I mean, I think that would actually be really cool, like a No Nut November kind of situation where they just continue with the story. Let me know what you guys thought about this story in the comments. I definitely liked it. Let me know if you guys did as well. If you didn't like it, if you would change some things, and please tell me that someone would be interested in making a second part to this, because this is definitely a really cool story and I'd be interested in reading more of this. Now that's going to do it for me. I hope all of you guys enjoyed. If you did, of course, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. And of course, make sure to turn on that bell for notifications, because these uploads are going to be coming as fast as I can make them. So you do not want to miss the next one that comes out. So have a good rest of your day or night, depending on when you're watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.